were trying to find a name for the band. We'd sort of already started the project before, so it was sort of, yeah, it was quite sort of far into us actually writing the songs where we thought we'd better get a name for it. I mean, I know Ross was you were originally saying like have some kind of power metal sounding ones. I wanted something that was a bit Celtic, and Ian was like, you've got to be able to spell it and search for it. So it has
Yeah,
to
I
be
think that was the biggest, like, the tunes and everything like that came pretty easy, and the organisation of the band came pretty easy, but finding the name was the hardest bit.
I think I think I'd written about 5 or 6 tracks worth of lyrics at this point, and spoiler alert, one of them was The Fortune Teller. So we suggested that, and it was just sort of, yeah, maybe. And then we went round and came back to it, and it was the name that stuck. And yeah, we just rolled with it.
It's a cool name.
Thank you.
How was your band formed? Did you all meet during its formation or before?
Well, the band formation was kind of it's a long story. I don't know if it's an interesting story. It's a long story.
You have
So
time.
I've always been into sort of like more melodic stuff, sort of power metal, Symphony X, all of those sort of bands. But I've never been able to find anyone that wants to play it. And especially where I'm from, everyone's into like death metal, deathcore, and that's what I played for years and years. And I never thought I would be able to find a singer that would do it. Years ago, 12 years ago, I played a show in a city called, is it City, Bournemouth? It is a city, isn't it?
No.
Is it not? It's a town. It's a town. So I was playing a show, and because I always like warm up quite a lot before I play. And this is when the venue owner's office was kind of at the back of the venue. So I was there trying to warm up with a loud band playing, and I couldn't hear anything. So I went towards the toilets, and then I heard someone singing in the girls' toilets. And lo and behold, it was the other person in this interview. And I was just like, that girl can actually sing, actually sing. And she's like the only other person that's warming up for this show. She's the only person that's taking it seriously. And then a little while afterwards, I was just like, hey, do you want to do a band? And she said no.
That's sad.
So I waited a little bit. I asked her again, and she said no. Then I tried a third time, and I think she said no again. And then eventually she said yes. And then I got to it. So with regards to other members as well, though, so Ian, the other guitarist in the band, he was supposed to be covering bass for one of my other bands. So we were going to go out on a tour with the Black Dahlia Murder in 2020. Obviously, it didn't happen because of the word that we can't say. But I kept in touch with him, and I knew he liked writing sort of like symphonic parts, and he had like a similar style to what I deep down wanted to play. And I just messaged him off the bat, and he was definitely up for it. He was dead keen. And then, how else did it all fall into place? So our keys player and sort of in-house engineer, producer, is a good friend of mine called Merrick, and he lives nearby, and he was up for it. He's got a good voice. He's got a good sort of producer's mind. He's the sort of person that can take an idea you give him and just make suggestions, and it will instantly sound better, because it's really easy to think with like a guitarist head on, or you want to be like this all the time. And Merrick's just like, no, cut that, do this, and then you listen to what he's suggested, and it's golden. And then Tim was the first drummer that said yes. So Tim's a good drummer. Tim's a very good drummer. That's how the band formed.
About to cry because of your story.
And David, of course, our bassist.
Oh yeah, David. Sorry,
yeah.
David.
He was in Merrick's band as well, and yeah, I think Merrick just dragged him along. I'm just like
Yeah,
doing this one now too.
yeah.
And how did you decide what musical genre you wanted to play?
How
Well,
did we
Not pop or
all I
decide
rock.
had,
it?
all I had was, "Do you want to be in a power metal festival band?" And I was like, "Sure,
Yeah,
that one sounds alright. I'll do that one."
that was kind of the gist of it. So this start like the time that I actually got her to say yes was August 3rd, 2022. So I remember it well. I was in the dressing room of a venue called Dawn Russia, which is in Nijmegen in Holland. And we just played a festival called Into the Grave in Holland. And we ended up hanging out with some of the power metal bands that were playing. And it just looked like more fun than what I was having, to be honest. So obviously death, and it was blistering sun. I felt kind of stupid playing like death metal all in black in the blistering sun. Um, and yeah, just watching the power metal band guys just soaring away. I was just like, I should really just get this done. And then yeah, I sent the message to Theresa, and that was the time she said yes. And then that's when music started happening. So that was 2.5 years ago, and we're only just getting into it now. But
Been a while since then.
yeah, been a little while. Been a little while.
I was a baby. And what word would you define your band with? Word or
We
phrase?
have we have no idea. We tried this
That's hard.
repeatedly.
Yeah,
We have no
yes
idea.
would be your word.
Yeah, yeah. I am stumped by that one completely. Yeah,
I mean, I'm hoping it's memorable.
memorable's
Epic.
good. Epic and memorable. One of those two. One of those two. I'll take either of those.
And who would you say are your biggest references in music?
I mean, I've got some from Ian as well because he predominantly writes the tracks as well. So he said like some of his references are like bands like Dream Theater, Everett Grey, In Flames. They're not what you would call power metal bands, but it does, I feel, give the tracks a more kind of heavy, modern sort of sound. And then when you're adding in the kind of melodic choruses to go with it, it kind of brings it back to the power metal style, but a bit heavier.
It's cool. What about you?
What about me?
But I mean, for me or you, Ross, you go.
My influences are horrible. I just listen to Rust in Peace on repeat all day long, every day. I just wish that I could rewrite that album. But yeah, kind of similar. I like Scar Symmetry, Symphony X, anything shreddy really. That's my vibe.
I love like Evergrey and In Flames as well. But I also like bands like Heat, which are really melodic. But I also grew up listening to a lot of soul, and I like songs that kind of tell a story as well, which is kind of what my influences are for this band.
Who writes the songs of your band?
So the music's written by these guys, Ian and Ross, and I write the lyrics and the melodies for the vocals.
Yeah. So how everything works, Ian writes quite a lot of it, but I send Ian either like guitar tab or videos or sometimes voice notes. And yeah, he just translates those into songs. He's got a very sort of good ear for song structure, which I don't have. I can write riffs, but he writes songs.
Okay. Where do you get the inspiration to write and compose your songs?
Again, I mean, I said this to Ian because I wanted to get sort of what he would say as well. And he says like listening to a lot of different bands, but also TV and film music as well, kind of inspires him to send sort of when he's working with some orchestral software and synths and things to actually create the song. themselves, and then just sort of any riffs or anything that he's been noodling away on, you can add that in. For me, I mean, I'll get the track, I'll get the music, and then like 98% of the time, it's a chorus melody will come in my head, and it's usually the melody first. Sometimes it's lyrics, and I try and get it in, but sometimes I find it's a bit forced. If I'll think of a lyric or a title, and I think, oh yeah, that's really good, I really want to use that, and then I'll try and get that into a song, and it doesn't really work as well than if I have created it as I'm writing it. So yeah, mostly it's the melody. I'll get a chorus idea, and then maybe get a first verse that kind of matches it, and then try and build the story around it, and just sort of keep changing it, keep adapting it until it works, and then send it to these guys and hope they don't think it's rubbish.
And could you tell us the message behind your music video Savage Sis?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that was the first one we did, or it was the first one that I wrote with these guys, and it was a melody in my head, which sort of grew into words, which grew into a story, and I didn't really realize what it was until I was looking then back on the lyrics, and thinking, oh yeah, okay, I can see that's a story forming now. It's a journey. It's it's sort of going through challenges, having hope, getting through to the other side, and sort of sort of following your dreams, and not letting go. And there's another thing, because when I was doing it, I was thinking, oh, I just really, really like the chorus melody that's sticking in my head, and I'll stick with the chorus. But then as the verses started forming, and then I go back and sort of write the middle eight part to it, and I could really develop the story, and that's what it is now.
This is the most important question. Who does your makeup and who creates your outfits for the show?
I do.
And for the music videos?
So I do my own makeup. So yeah, I've only got myself to blame there. And for the outfits, I make my own stage gear. I made the cape for that music video for Savage Seas. I have a friend, Ed Field. He makes really, really good leather works, and he made sort of like the leather straps for it. I wear a holster on stage to hold my microphone. I've done that for years. It's just somewhere to put it, really, if you want to go have a drink of water. But that was just literally a gun holster that I've adapted and sort of added straps to, and made it so I could wear it properly. But yeah, I just make it myself. I quite like making things.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Any artist you would like to collaborate with in the future?
So many. So I mean, if you're talking dream, then Symphony X. If you're talking sort of more realistic, I think that's sort of bands like Evergrey. I'd love to collaborate with a guy called Mendel. So Mendel, if you check him out on Instagram and YouTube, he is one of the best metal guitarists, I would say, in the world. He's incredible, and his writing is obscene. So I think he's Mendelian on Instagram, or I won't try and pronounce his name because it's very, very Dutch, his surname. I think it's Baidelai. I can't spell it, so please don't ask me to spell it. But he's unreal.
You have to send me the name.
I will send you the link. I will send you the link.
I'd love to work with Evergrey. I mean, I've always loved Evergrey. Tom England's one of like my biggest vocal influences. His writing as well as like the trills he does, and I just love it. It's great. But also Ordinogan, I think they're fantastic at the moment. And they do a lot of vocal harmonies as well in their songs. So I'd really like to work with them.
Any new tour dates?
What can we say? Hang on a minute.
You can't say one, not yet.
I know we can't say one. There's another one we can't say. So we haven't. got any long stretches at the moment. Not booked in yet. We're talking to a few different people. We've got some festivals lined up, UK festivals. Just a lot of bits in the work really, because of obviously our debut single only came out 11 days ago, so it's now sort of just trying to chime away at the bookings, but we shall see. We've only got one. We've got SOS Festival, which is on the,
that
what
is
date is it on?
the 4th and 6th of July.
Yes.
That's in Manchester.
We need one in Spain.
I am
Yes, we do.
more than up for that. I am more than up for that.
As soon as possible, we definitely will.
Oh, perfect. I believe. Is there anything that you would like to say to your fans?
Yeah, just like a huge thank you for the overwhelming support that you're showing us like right now for the release of our first single. You've been so kind. Everyone's sharing it, which is fantastic. It really does help us out when you share it sort of to your pages to other people. So yeah, we'll be writing more music. We'll be bringing more music as soon as we can.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that.
And is there any advice you would like to give to young people who is starting in the world of music?
Yeah, quite a lot. I could fill the next 10 years giving you advice on what to do wrong from experience. So if you want to go out and do touring full time, find a job which you can do self-employed remotely immediately. Because of when you're first starting out, obviously you're going to be at best breaking even on tour. So you're not going to come home with money. You've got to figure out your living situation. So if you can figure out a way to earn money whilst being out on the road, do that. Do that. Also, don't shy away from opportunities. Be creative with how you're marketing yourself as well, because it's different. I mean, we've both been in the scene for long enough that we've seen it from where it started. There was no social media. It was word of mouth and local shows and mainstream press. But now you've got so many different avenues to market yourself through social media. Get heavily involved in that. I mean, you don't have to tell young people to get heavily involved in social media. They're all over it. But figure out a way to be creative. Figure out a community of other bands, not just necessarily in your locality, but around the world, different places. Do gig swaps, merch swaps, you name it. And just most importantly, get out there.
It's a great advice.
I hope so. Hopefully someone takes that on board.
It's so sad I can't make music. I can sing. You don't want to hear me singing.
Everyone can sing.
Maybe at one of your shows.
Yeah, well, we'll get you in. We'll get you backstage, and you can come sing with me.
Okay. I will be drunk.
That's fine.
And if there is anything else you would like to say, to tell to the people who is watching us?
Hi. We do have some more music in the works. A lot of people have been saying more, please. So as soon as we have that, we will be sharing it with you. It won't be too long a wait, is all I'm saying.
We need your music now. It's perfect. When you've got news from your band, we will write a report and we will share it.
Fantastic.
Sorry about my nervous.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here and for your patience.
No, it's fine. It worked really well. Thank you. Thanks for inviting us.
And I'll be waiting for the name of the musician you said.
Oh yeah, no, I'll send you that through. I'll send you that through. He's amazing. Prepare to be amazed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's lovely meeting you. It's lovely chatting with you, and hopefully we'll actually see you soon.
Think the same.
Yeah.
Bye.
Amazing. Thank you. Yes. Bye bye.